Coming up tonight, we look at a lot of numbers every day and what they mean for you. But tonight, the number we should all be paying close attention to is how much fentanyl is coming into this country. It is a lot, and we'll have that coming up. Plus, wait till you see how the smugglers are trying to get it into the country by any means necessary, including fentanyl-filled burritos. And it's not just a border crisis, it's a medical crisis as well. We have every angle covered for you, including a shooting involving Border Patrol agents in the so-called drug zone. Great to have you with us. We are live in our NewsNation Chicago studios, and the Donlon Report starts right now. The next epidemic facing the country is already here. That's the pulse of America tonight. We're talking about fentanyl, a stunning number from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The amount of fentanyl seized at the border in South Texas spiked more than 1,000% in the last fiscal year. Agents at just 8 ports in this part of the country seized 588 pounds of it. And nationwide, that number skyrockets to more than 10,000 pounds for all of 2021. Now, it's hard to put that into perspective, but this will. Here's a photo, a penny that you see there, and next to it is how much fentanyl it takes to kill someone. You can barely see it, just that little bit of powder there. This is why fentanyl is the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45 in 2020, more than COVID. Overdose deaths in general were more than 100,000 in a 12-month period for the first time ever, more than car crashes and gun fatalities combined. Overdose deaths in America have more than doubled since 2015, just in the past 6 years. Fentanyl is at the heart of it. It's coming through our border from China and other places, and it's killing us at an alarming rate. And smugglers are bringing it in any way they can. 17 pounds hidden inside a respirator. How about a burrito, a plastic figurine, a bicycle frame, frozen fish, even shoes? You name it, they have tried to use it for smuggling. So the question tonight is, how do we stop it from getting here? And if it does get here, how do we stop it from killing us? A lot of the fentanyl comes through the southern border, as we mentioned, where agents are literally coming under fire. It's happened twice now in less than 2 weeks. Joining us now for more on this is NewsNation's Marky Martin. Marky, do we have any idea yet how this happened or what happened?
Yeah, hey, Joe, it's something that Border Patrol and the FBI is still investigating. But right off the top, I will mention, even though this is a rural part of Texas, we're talking Starr County right there on that southern tip. This is a real hot spot for drug smuggling. In fact, Starr County is where the majority of drug apprehensions happen, right there along the Texas-Mexico border. And speaking of gunfire, as you just mentioned, you know, this has now happened twice to agents in less than 2 weeks. Let's take you back to that very first incident. This was January 1st, right there in Starr County. We even have photos of it. Let's pop those up for your viewers because they can see the agents' vehicles actually shot at. And then just yesterday, we had agents that were shot at, came under fire when they were apprehending migrants crossing illegally into the United States. Now, thankfully, nobody was hurt. A spokesman for Border Patrol came forward and said there was not even exchange of gunfire. They didn't return bullets. And we talked to Chris Cabrera with Border Patrol Counsel. He says this is something at a situation in regard to the gunfire that's just getting worse as time goes on.
Very concerning. You know, they're taking shots at our agents. If you break it down to the brass tacks, is they're trying to murder our agents. You know, whatever their reasoning for it is, most likely it's something to do with drugs, but they're upping their aggression levels. So it's very concerning to our guys.
Cabrera also telling us that, of course, all the agents who are now, on patrol in that part of the state, they're on high alert. They're wearing body armor. They're wearing long guns. He's hoping that the agency can really work in tandem with the state of Texas to flood that region with even more backup agents, more law enforcement in other capacities. Cabrera also saying that he hopes that, to see the federal government come forward and do more in terms of going after smugglers or anybody who is opening fire on their agents. He said that's just action that they're not seeing coming from Washington at this time. Joe.
Marky Martin live for us tonight to start. Thank you very much. Let's bring in now Brandon Judd, president of the National Border Patrol Council. Brandon, let's get you on this first because it seems like these are probably warning shots. Agents, I'm guessing, are authorized to return fire, but I'm guessing that's a dangerous proposition as well because there's a lot of cover out there.
Well, they use an awful lot of discretion. Every one of us do. Law enforcement, what we don't want to do is we don't want to start returning fire when we can't see the actual threat.
Right.
If you can't see the actual threat, all you're doing is throwing bullets down range, and you have the potential of hitting some innocent people. So our agents act with extreme discretion.
Right. Let's get to the fentanyl now. Based on the seizures that you are making, I'd like to think you're making a dent, but when you see the numbers of overdoses and how this is now the #1 killer of adults 18 to 45 in this country, I can't help but wonder how much is still getting through.
Well, there's a couple ways that law enforcement will measure how successful we are. We'll look at the total number of seizures. If our seizures go up and the price of the drugs go up on the street, then you know that you're doing a good job. The problem with fentanyl is we're just not. As much as we're seizing right now, the cartels are able to sow complete and total discord because they're crossing historic numbers of migrants across the border. And what that's doing is that's depleting our resources in the field, and we're not able to go after the fentanyl, and that's why they've been so successful. So even though we've seized an awful lot of fentanyl, we've had a record number of overdose deaths in the United States because of fentanyl. So we just know that we're just not making a dent in the profits of the cartels, and the cartels are continuing to bring record numbers across our border.
In my research today, Brandon, it seems like a lot of this is coming through U.S. ports of entry, legal crossing points, because they know they can get a bigger amount of it across, and they have a better chance of crossing at these legal spots. So it's obviously hidden, which makes it even harder to get across and harder for your agents to find it.
Yeah, we've seen fentanyl. We've seen all kinds of drugs hidden in the most unique ways that you can imagine. They'll hide it in gas tanks. They'll hide it in dashboards. Like you said, they hide it in burritos. They'll hide it in the products that are coming across the border. Yeah, the ports of entry are completely overwhelmed. If you go to the port and you look at the total number of traffic that's coming across, those ports are there to facilitate legitimate trade. And those ports generate billions of dollars in revenue for the American economy every single year. And so it's very important that we get as much trade through those ports as possible. The problem is with that number of the number of semis that are coming through, the number of legitimate trade that's coming through, we miss an awful lot of the fentanyls right there at the ports of entry.
We were all wondering today, Brandon, how this is coming in from China. Are they sending it to Mexico and then bringing it through? How does that work?
They are. The vast majority of the fentanyl is being manufactured in China. It's being sent to Mexico, and they do it in various ways. They'll ship it across over the ocean. They'll fly it into Mexico. But yes, the vast majority is coming from China, going through Mexico, and then coming across our southwest border.
And then once it gets here and it comes across, we were laughing today as well. Not laughing, but it is almost comical now. We think back of the old days when bales of marijuana were being smuggled across the border. These are small pills in many cases, and it's very hard to find.
And that's one of the biggest problems that we face. You know, it used to be that with cameras, we would be able to see drug smugglers. Now you can't because fentanyl is so small. And like you showed earlier, a very small amount can kill a human. You know, the size of a penny can kill multiple individuals. And so, yeah, it's very difficult to detect fentanyl. The other thing is because it's mixed with so many different chemicals, having been a former canine handler, I can personally tell you it's very difficult for the canines to find it as well.
I was just going to ask you if the dogs could smell it, but I guess not. So how do you stop it, Brandon? What's the answer here?
It all comes down to policy. What you have to begin with is you have to cut down on the illegal immigration. We have to free up our resources to go after the cartels. The other thing, we have to have a robust intel department. If we don't have that robust intel department, if we don't know that it's coming before it gets here, then it becomes a lot more difficult. So you have to put more resources in the field, one, and two, you have to beef up your intel department. With those two things, I believe that we can start to save American lives.
It is a big issue for sure. National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd, thanks for coming on and talking with us about it.
Thank you.
I want to bring in another voice now with a lot of experience on this from both sides, as a doctor and also as a recovering drug addict. Dr. Peter Grinspoon is an instructor at Harvard Medical School, and he joins us now from Mass General. Doctor, it's great to have you on your voice with this because you have a lot of experience. I know you've lost patients to fentanyl. How would you describe the magnitude of this problem?
Well, it keeps getting worse and worse every year. I have a slightly different take on it than the gentleman who just spoke before me. Unfortunately, only 10 to 20% of people who have opiate addiction are getting treatment for it because we don't put enough resources into treating people, and we don't have enough providers treating people. We have very good medications to treat opiate addiction with, but in more than half the counties in the United States, there aren't any providers to give them methadone or Suboxone. So I think it makes much more sense to treat the demand, not the supply. We're never going to stop the fentanyl from coming in. It's a powder. They could, as you've shown very vividly, they can smuggle it in anything. It's a complete fool's errand to try to stop the fentanyl from coming in. What we need to do is treat people and stop the demand from fentanyl by treating all these people who desperately want treatment but can't get it because they can't afford it or there aren't available treatment providers.
Right.
So
personalize this for us, doctor. How did you get help for your addiction?
Well, I got help the hard way. I got into trouble. I was in denial, and I didn't get help until the state police and the DEA came into my office and said, you're going to get help. And then the medical board said, you're going to get help. So I was sent to rehab. I don't think rehab's particularly effective way, but they basically said, if you're going to get your medical license back, you're going to pass your drug tests. And I was drug tested for 5 years. I had a lot of therapy. I had a lot of group support. My family never gave up on me. The most important thing is don't give up on people. If you give up on people, their chances of making it go down to almost zero. So just stick with people. And now I'm about 15 years in recovery, and I'm doing really well. I've been back practicing medicine at Harvard Medical School for about 12 years. So again, don't give up on people. But the point I want to make is they say one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Right. We've been fighting this drug war and we're getting nowhere. The overdoses are going up. We've got to start focusing less on trying to stop the fentanyl from coming in. We're getting nowhere, and focus more on treating people. I mean, all these people need to be treated. There's always going to be other people to bring fentanyl in. If you arrest one person, another guy comes up. There's so much money in smuggling drugs. These people are so poor. There's always going to be someone to smuggle drugs in. But if we start treating people, there'll be less of a demand for it. Right.
On the topic of demand, though, there is now this debate about these fentanyl strips that drug users can use that would detect fentanyl in, I'm assuming, things like recreational users and even for addicts. Why is this such a controversial debate? Isn't it basically the same as Narcan, only before somebody overdoses?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same debate we used to have with giving out needles to prevent people from getting HIV. Nothing's going to stop someone who's truly addicted from using drugs. They're desperate, they're withdrawing, they're sick. And this is a way to enable them to do it without overdosing and dying. Nobody wants them to overdose and die. So why not give them Narcan, and why not give them drug testing strips so that they can do it safely?
Well, yeah, I mean, and it is difficult because this does go beyond addicts to just people who are recreationally using a drug, not knowing that it's laced with something that could very well kill them. Treatment is important. Stick with it. These are all great messages. And I didn't get a chance to say it, but congratulations on your 15 years. Dr. Peter Grinspoon, it's great to have you with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fireworks between Dr. Anthony Fauci and Senator Rand Paul once again on Capitol Hill today. Dr. Fauci came with some eye-opening information for the senator, and we'll have that ahead. Plus, an LA Times opinion piece that mocks the deaths of the unvaccinated. We're going to ask an emergency room doc what he thinks about that. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at Joe Donlon TV on Twitter. We'll be right back.
And the police asked him where he was going, and he was going to Washington, D.C., to kill Dr. Fauci. And they found in his car an AR-15 and multiple magazines of ammunition. Why would Senator want to do this? So go to Rand Paul website and you see fire Dr. Fauci with a little box that says Contribute here. You can do $5, $10, $20, $100. So you are making a catastrophic epidemic for your political gain.
Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Anthony Fauci clashing today at the U.S. Senate in a hearing. Yet again, another heated and politicized exchange between the two. But these heated and extreme rhetorics not necessarily been confined to Congress recently. A column in the L.A. Times causing some controversy as well. Columnist Michael Hiltzik, referring to the unvaccinated who have died, wrote, "It may be not a little ghoulish to celebrate or exult in the deaths of vaccine opponents, but mockery is not necessarily the wrong reaction." Dr. Ron Elfenbein, emergency room physician and owner of First Call Medical Center, joins us now. So, Doc, the LA Times took a lot of heat for this. You've treated a lot of COVID patients. What's your take on this? I'm guessing you're hearing whispers of this, at least. This guy just said it out loud.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, we are hearing whispers of this, and I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I think there's no offense to you. This certainly isn't intended towards you, but there's a reason why the media in general is ranked below used car salesmen in terms of national, polling on who people trust and who people turn to. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting, and I would say this person should be ashamed of himself, but I guarantee you he's not. So. It's absolutely disgusting and appalling that somebody would say something like that. I mean, do you blame a fat person for getting a heart attack or a stroke because they're overweight? I mean, are you going to laugh at them because they are in the emergency room clutching their chest? I mean, it's disgusting. Well, absolutely disgusting.
The thing is, Doctor, we know that those who choose not to get the shot know the risks. And the ones who are primarily hospitalized and dying are the unvaccinated. And I think it's okay to say that out loud.
To say that what you just said, that yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's okay to say that out loud. But to make fun of somebody for dying and for, making a choice, a medical choice, again, you could say the same thing about somebody who is overweight. They made a choice to continue to eat and be overweight. I mean, I'm not suggesting that everybody who's overweight is just because that they can't stop eating, but, you just have to have some empathy for people. It's not, they didn't choose to die. They didn't choose to have this happen to them. They made a choice for whatever reason, and it's none of my business or your business why they chose not to get vaccinated, but they chose not to get vaccinated. So, at the end of the day, if they're succumbing to this virus, it's a tragedy. And I just think it's horrific that somebody would laugh and mock them because they're dying. Well,
yeah, they're definitely hearing about it in response. Let's talk about what's actually happening right now, Doctor, and what we're really facing. And I think United Airlines might be a good example of it. They're down, I think, 3,000 employees out sick, none hospitalized, but they were all vaccinated. Do you think this is still a pandemic of the unvaccinated, as it's been called, or has Omicron changed that?
I don't think that's applicable at all. I think clearly, just looking at the numbers, I mean, you're just as likely to catch Omicron without being vaccinated as if you were vaccinated. There's no, it doesn't offer you any protection from catching the virus. But I go back to the original point that the vaccine was produced, and I think that this is a little bit confusing for people because when you think of a vaccine, you think of something that's designed to keep you from catching the virus, and the FDA and the CDC was very, very clear from the very beginning when they first started this under Operation Warp Speed that the goal of this vaccine was not to keep people from catching the virus, but to keep people from dying from the virus and or being hospitalized. Over time, those two things have gone down with the efficacy of the vaccine, But it is still pretty good at keeping you from dying and or being hospitalized. So your best chance of surviving this, if you are high risk, is to get vaccinated.
Because it does offer protection, right, Doctor? I mean,
correct. Right. Correct.
Okay. I want to just clarify.
And it just so happened that one of the side effects, if you will, of the vaccine originally was it also happened to keep you fairly well from catching the virus.
Right.
That has gone down dramatically, way more dramatically than anything else over time. And so now, again, if you're boosted, if you're vaccinated, it really doesn't matter. You're still just as likely to catch, or almost just as likely to catch COVID, but you're much less likely to die from it. So again, your best protection is still to get vaccinated and boosted, but it's not going to keep you from catching it.
Let's get you on the shortages that we're seeing. The HHS now saying that 1 in 4 hospitals report serious staffing issues. I know you're troubled by the response because in some cases, hospitals are telling the health workers to come back even if they are COVID positive and have symptoms.
Yes. So, that in and of itself makes sense. If the hospital was able to isolate and just have a COVID only ward where only COVID patients were, and it was a tent outside the hospital, totally isolated from everybody else, and you have COVID, but you don't necessarily have any symptoms, or you have very mild symptoms as a healthcare provider, there's really no reason you can't go in there and help these people. So that part makes sense. But the problem is what's being implemented is they're telling people you can go back to work immediately. And they're going in the main entrance of the hospital. They're going to the same coffee shops as everybody else. They're using the same restrooms as everybody else. So I can guarantee you that they're spreading COVID. But at the same time that they're telling hospital workers, come back to work, even though you have COVID, they're firing people who are hospital workers who don't get vaccinated. And there's lots of reasons why people might not get vaccinated.
Right.
The mainstream media and a lot of people are making people out to be psychos if they choose not to get vaccinated, but that's not always the case. If people just had COVID, there's really no reason that they need to get vaccinated on top of that, because their natural immunity trumps the vaccine-induced immunity. So why are we laying off hospital workers, but yet telling people who we know have COVID and are sick to come to work? It makes zero sense. It's absurd.
Yeah, Dr. Ron Elfenbein, emergency room physician, owner of First Call Medical Center. Thanks for the time tonight, Doctor.
Thank you.
The school lockout in Chicago is over for the city's mayor, but her quarantine is just getting started. The city's teachers union and the mayor reaching an agreement to get kids back in school starting tomorrow, Wednesday. After a 4-day shutdown, schools will ramp up testing and get more KN95 masks as well. The Biden administration has been saying kids can be safe in school in the face of that union opposition. But in the meantime, there's a little bit more here. While students are back, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is now out. She announced today, after that political fight over COVID, that she now has COVID herself. Triple vaxxed, Lightfoot will work from home in quarantine. Here's a question for you. What's the biggest story in Georgia right now? Here's a hint. It's not the president's visit and his speech on voting rights. Talking about poor timing of that event, especially when President Biden desperately needed a big win, just like the Georgia Bulldogs got last night. We'll get into that. Plus, the new mayor of New York has been in office less than 2 weeks and already facing some controversy over a new plan to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. Is that fair? We'll get into that. Plus, a stunning call for a mistrial after a jury forewoman refuses to confirm a verdict in a Florida murder trial. How race had everything to do with her decision to go rogue. Catch that tonight on Dan Abrams Live, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on NewsNation. Visiting the state today to talk about voting rights. Not the best timing, to say the least. Some voting rights advocates even have a surprising message for the president. They don't want him there because in their eyes, he hasn't done enough to advance their cause. Even Stacey Abrams, synonymous with Georgia and voting rights, skipped today's speech. She says it was because of a scheduling issue. Joining me now, Washington Post political reporter Amber Phillips. So, Amber, what do you make of the timing here? I mean, he could have gone tomorrow or the day after and probably been the lead story. There was no way he was the lead story today.
Right, exactly. Not the best timing on his part with football being top of mind in the South, as it often is. And congrats to the Bulldogs, by the way. But I think overall, if you step back, Joe, this is not the best timing, period, for President Biden. COVID's raging, hospitalizations are at the highest level, Build Back Better, his spending plan just got tanked essentially last month. And here he is turning his attention to voting rights. But Democrats feel like, even though this isn't necessarily what they want to be talking about politically going into the midterms next year, they've got a lot of fires they want to put out. Right. Otherwise, they feel like they don't have a choice. I talk to them all day and they say, listen, they say exactly what Biden said in the speech today. They feel like they don't have a choice. They truly believe, like voters of color, especially in key states like Georgia, will have a harder time voting if they don't act by overriding some of these state laws with the big federal law. And in addition, their activist base is pretty upset that Democrats haven't acted sooner. They feel like they don't have another day to wait. They can't wait for the football news to settle down before Biden appears like he's taking this on.
Yeah, their absence absolutely made a statement, I think, today, Amber. Let's listen to a little bit more from the president, what he said this afternoon.
History has never been kind to those who've sided with voter suppression over voters' rights. And it'll even be less kind for those who side with election subversion. So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace
So, Amber, your ear is close to the ground on this. I guess my big question is, does this have a chance? I mean, even if the Democrats find a way to change the filibuster, which appears unlikely, do they have the votes to pass this? That's the second hurdle.
So that's the interesting part is they spent this past year really quietly working in the Senate. I checked in like every couple weeks with them, getting 50 votes of support for these two big voting rights bills that Biden talked about today. One that would like make sweeping national changes, like allow everyone to vote by mail, no excuses, make Election Day a holiday, ban gerrymandering, and another one that would reinstall parts of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They actually do have the votes. Manchin and Sinema, senators normally skeptical of Democratic priorities, included in this. But they can't get over that filibuster hurdle. I've looked at this at every angle all year, really, and I do not see a way, one, for the filibuster to completely go away. That's probably happening eventually, but not this Congress. And I think it's unlikely that this pressure campaign convinces Joe Manchin, especially, and Kyrsten Sinema as well, that you get rid of the filibuster just for voting rights. They've argued pretty vociferously that a carve out on this is a slippery slope. And legislative experts I talked to agree with that. They say, well, what's next? One told me that's the equivalent of nuking the filibuster. It's done after that.
Right. That's why they call it the nuclear option. I'm wondering, do you think and get the impression from Democrats on the Hill that time is running out for them? They know they're up against it, depending on what happens in the midterms. If they are to carve out a filibuster on any one thing, is this the one issue you think is the most likely?
Absolutely. This is it. This is it over climate change legislation. This is it over any, family leave package, expanding health care, all this other stuff that President Biden and Democratic leaders talk about regularly on the campaign trail. It's this. They really, 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 Joe, have convinced themselves that democracy is at stake. Biden said today the world is watching us here in America, what we do. History will watch these senators when they take a vote later this week, essentially on whether to erode the filibuster for this issue. And Democrats really believe that. And that's in part because voting right activists have talked to them over this past year and really hammered home this point that they're scared about what laws, an unprecedented amount in 19 states passed this past year, driven in part by President Trump's lie that he won the election in 2020, will do to voters, and particularly voters of color. It's much harder to draw the specific line between these laws and how that impacts especially voters of color. It's a little bit more murky than how Biden and Democrats talk about it, but activists are really, really terrified about what this does to the party and their ability to stay in power long term.
We will keep an eye on what happens moving forward. Great insight from Washington Post political reporter Amber Phillips. Thanks for the time, Amber.
Oh, thank you.
Even more headlines on voting tonight. Republican leaders are making good on a threat to fight a recently enacted New York City law allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections. They're suing to block a law that allows more than 800,000 people in New York legally to register and vote in city elections starting next year, 2023. I want to bring in now Democratic strategist Laura Fink and former Republican National Committee spokesman, Doug Heye. Great to see you both. These are two great voices on this. Laura, let's start with you. Do you think this lawsuit is going to succeed and shut this down?
You know, it's interesting because the RNC fights for the right to restrict voting in states like Georgia, but is pushing against local control in New York. And they're not suing some 11 cities and localities in Maryland and a couple in Vermont, all who have had this type of a law that allows permanent residents and legal immigrants to vote in local elections. Not touching any of that. That means it's pure politics. And that's what the RNC is all about. So none of this is a real surprise. 1 out of 9 voters, those 800,000 represent 1 out of 9 eligible voters in New York City. Eric Adams has made history by expanding voter access for them to be allowed to weigh in on things that affect them and their day-to-day lives.
Doug, these are non-citizens, but they are people with green cards and dreamers, people who were here through no fault of their own. How would you respond?
Well, it's obviously, the mayor's decision. We'll see how it goes through the courts. But this is all about politics. And the politics of this for Democrats is not good. You were talking with Amber Phillips from the Washington Post earlier about bad timing. This is maybe a good idea, maybe a bad idea. I don't think it's a great idea, but it's also very bad timing for Democrats. If you want to talk about voting rights and the importance of this and comparing Republicans to Jim Crow or talking about Dr. King, this is not a topic that you really want to be adding into this fire as well. It's going to be very easy for Republicans to talk about this lawsuit, to conflate this with other things that Democrats want to do and really push back for the midterms where they're looking to have more and more success.
Doug, the Republican pushback is pretty obvious because it seems like these would be potentially 800,000 more votes primarily for Democrats, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Look, if this were going to be any demographic that was going to skew heavily Republican, certainly you wouldn't see a Democratic mayor pushing for this. And look, you know, Democrats obviously point out the same thing with what certain laws throughout the states have targeted African-American voters. I'd agree with some of those Democratic concerns on this. But politically, this is a disaster for Democrats because of the timing. They don't want to give Republicans this weapon to use over the coming months. It really, you know, in New York City is not really where the rest of the country is. And that's where Republicans are going to have success this November with a really election that's looking more and more in their favor.
Laura, let's shift to California. They're proposing to pay health care expenses for undocumented immigrants. It would cost $2.2 billion. You can hear the critics, I'm sure, now. That's a lot of money for people who are here illegally.
You can also hear the supporters, including members of the Republican members of the Assembly and State Senate, who have said that this will save money over the long term. This is an investment to cover the workforce in the pandemic and beyond it. Now, frankly, in California here, we tax the 1%. So those are where those dollars are going to come from. It's something that simply is the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do economically. We have a broken immigration system in this country, and we have Americans every day and workers every day that are undocumented that deserve that coverage. Those are the people that are working in our small businesses and that are working in our hotels, and access to coverage is simple and easy.
Right. We have to wrap. I told you they were great voices. I always love having Laura Fink, Democratic strategist, and Rebel Communications CEO and former RNC spokesman Doug Heye. Again, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should members of Congress be allowed to trade stocks? The answer may seem obvious, but the fact is they are allowed, and so are their staffs and a bunch of other federal workers who could have access to inside information. Is that right? We'll get into that coming up. Plus, how much cash do members of Congress have exactly? What are they worth? Well, according to a 2020 government watchdog study, the median net worth is more than $1 million. In other words, more than half are millionaires, some with assets into the hundreds of millions, which might be one reason why, according to a recent poll, 3 in 4 voters say members of Congress should not be allowed to trade stocks while serving in office. Respondents saying members and their families have an unfair advantage. 3 current members, for example, coming under scrutiny last year after selling stocks just before the markets tanked, before the pandemic hit. Another who isn't pictured here, no longer in Congress, but all denying any inside knowledge. And now House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy is suggesting if the GOP wrests control of the House this year, he will limit or bar stock trading among members. So the Fed's number 2, meantime, Richard Clarida, resigns amid scrutiny of his own stock trades. He called it a portfolio rebalance, but it was enough to force him out. Should there be a ban? Do those in Congress and others in government have an unfair advantage over the rest of us? Let's ask our friends. Tracy Burns, UBS Financial Services Advisor, and also Scott Shellady, the cow guy. He's a trader and comes from a family of Midwest dairy farmers, hence the fashion statement. Scott, let's start with you. Is this fair or not? Because it seems to me like if you're looking for an unfair advantage, this has a picture in the dictionary right next to it, doesn't it?
Well, the very fact that they can't see that there could be a conflict of interest means that they probably all have 8-track tapes in their cars too. They're so out of touch. So I've got a plethora of licenses to make sure that I'm above board and I don't put myself in front of any customers. The customer comes first. Their constituents should always come first. So the very fact that we're even having this conversation today is mind-boggling to me because it just doesn't make any sense. So if you're in that position and there's the slightest chance of any impropriety, you shouldn't be anywhere near it. And that's how you take care of it. Now, I don't care how much money they have when they get to Congress. I just care about how much money they make while they're in Congress. And that's the problem. So I'm not against anybody making any money. Don't get me wrong. But because of the position that they're in, there's too many things that could go wrong. They should be barred from it. I can't believe, the man on the street would be shocked to know that they can still do it. I'm angry that they can still do it. They can do a lot of things. They get extra special treatment for a lot of things that it shouldn't be.
Right.
So,
Tracy, where do you draw the
ahead.
line on this, though? What about the intern in the Treasury Department? What about family members? Where do you draw the line on this?
Sadly, you draw the line because they are privy to inside information. They're talking about COVID treatments. They have inside information on healthcare stocks. They're talking about fossil fuels. They know about all those kinds of stocks and what's going on in those companies. And Scott's not wrong. I work for a bank. Every email is read. Every email I sent is read, and someone generally has a comment about it. So the fact that they're not being scrutinized and watched like hawks, the optics are so bad here, and it's just so unfair to the American people who are trying so hard to do it right, who are putting money into their retirement accounts, hoping someday they're going to have their, little condo in the sky and be able to retire safely when these guys are basically cheating us. There are ways they can make money. There are ETFs, there's mutual funds, there's managed accounts, there's ways they could still benefit from our thriving economy, but they don't need to do it on an individual stock basis.
All right, we're going to get you on something that we thought you were perfect for. Blimpie has added a new meatball Parmigiana sub to the menu. I don't know if you guys have seen this, and I'm guessing that we want to at least be the first to invite you out for a sandwich for one of these when we do get together. So, Scott, I'm thinking a guy with a cow suit on is thrilled to hear this. And Tracy, you're Italian, but I got some news for you. Check this out. Here's the reveal. This meatball sub has no meat. But Blimpie says it's smothered in a zesty marinara sauce topped with provolone and a sprinkle of Parmesan. So it's a plant-based meatball subs. Are you still in on this, Scott?
No, I'm not. Maybe when they can make my asparagus taste like beef, I'll be all in on it. I don't know. So that my problem is this. It's like champagne. If it's not from the Champagne area, you can't call it champagne. It's a meatless ball submarine, right? It's not a meatball sub. So they need to change the name because that's false advertising. It's not meat. So at the end of the day, if they don't false advertise and you know what you're getting, have at it. Because I think this whole meatless craze is going to end up being like decaf coffee and non-alcoholic beer. Wow. It's on the menu, but nobody's going to want it.
Tracy, you're an Italian mom. Is this sacrilege?
So he's not wrong. It is false advertising. That said, there are 16 billion vegetarians in the world. I mean, we're leaving them all, million vegetarians in the world. We're leaving them all on the table if we're ignoring them. This is a movement. People are trying to worry about their health more. They still want to eat out. If KFC can make a meatless chicken nugget, anybody could do anything.
That's on now. Tracy Burns, UBS Financial Services Advisor, and Scott Shelley, the Cow Guy, and RFD TV host. Great to see you both. Take care.
All righty.
All right, On Balance with Leland starts at the top of the hour, and I have a bad feeling something's in the works here.
I don't know why you think that. You're not going to ask me what's coming up on the show?
Does it have to do with cowboy hats and Yellowstone?
Not yet. I mean, we got we got North Korean missiles, how it shut down passenger traffic, and then we might just have to revisit what happened last night at this time.
Okay, are you doing a comedy bit here? Let's see.
We have some tape.
The cowboy hat thing for me is tough. Just the size of my head, the size of your hair. Do you pull that off or no?
I don't.
I don't either. That's a tough look. But those guys,
when you can, you can pull it off, and I feel like you could. You're tall enough, hair's a little tighter. You could get this. I'm wondering if we could have a graphic made that might see how this looks.
What? Me in a cowboy hat?
Yeah.
Boy,
we're gonna see tomorrow.
Right,
Stay tuned. That may be a tease for tomorrow night's show.
All right.
This won't hurt a bit.
I'm sure.
Yellowstone NewsNation edition. We present to you.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. There it is. Joe Donlon playing John Dutton.
Oh, wow. Oh, look at that.
You would be John Dutton. I think I would look better as Rick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
There's Rick, yeah. So, I had a feeling you were going to be up to something. So we actually looked for the football helmet that you wore in high school. The football helmet was so big to get over your hair, they weren't sure what to do with it, but we found the picture. They've repurposed it.
Nicely played.
That's all we get for the football helmet?
I thought it was going to be an Alabama helmet to make fun of the fact that the Tide lost.
Welcome back. Been a wild year for airlines and passengers alike, from the number of rowdy passengers skyrocketing to cancellations across the country. Now the TSA has released its, quote, top 10. These are the items that didn't make it through security, catches from 2021. Let's start at number 10. Bullets in a deodorant dispenser. Talk about a shot in the arm. No crickets even? Here we go. What else made the list? How about a meth-filled burrito? No guac, though. That was extra. A cleaver, bear repellent, and fireworks also made the list. What was number one? A chainsaw. Hey, I needed to prune the trees when I got to Grandma's house. So snazzy graphics, though, money well spent on that. Okay, not sure if you saw this story, but it's a great one. A dog that was lost for months, reunited with his owner. Actually separated for more than 5 months. Russ ended up trapped in snow, unable to move in Lake Tahoe. Russ growled at a skier who reported seeing the dog, and with the help of officers, volunteers, snowshoes, a sled, and a dog rescue team, they were able to free Russ, and he was microchipped and reunited with his owner. We're all animal lovers here, so happy to see that report. Here's our snapshot tonight. Look for an American icon on the back of some U.S. quarters. Legendary poet and cultural icon Maya Angelou became the first African-American woman ever to appear on the quarter. It's the first in a series for the American Women Quarters program, featuring prominent women in American history. In addition to her writing, Angelou also served as a coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference at the request of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Angelou awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2010 by then-President Obama. She died in May of 2014 at the age of 86. She gets our snapshot tonight. That is our time. On Balance, next. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.